that Cabinet members, officers, leave your microphones on mute during the meeting, unless or until you want to comment, and also ask that officers turn off the video feed unless they wish to speak. Do we have any declarations of interest? No? Any apologies for the meeting? No, none received. Thanks. If we then turn to item 2, which is the minutes of the last meeting on the 22nd of January, pages 1 to 8. Are the minutes of the last meeting agreed? Yeah, thank you. Item number 3 is Mayoral Reports, and there are none to be considered today. So if we go to item 4, which is the Mayoral Recommendations, and there are 2 public recommendations to consider from the main agenda. Item A, which is the continuation of move-on arrangements from temporary accommodation, which can be found on pages 9 to 13. And the recommendation seeks approval to extend the suspension of choice-based lettings until the 31st of March 2021. And this will enable priority support for housing to continue to be directed to those who are either homeless or in urgent need of moving or from temporary accommodation. Barry, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, this is just this is our initiative to house people who are homeless, and I think what it shows the fact that the rate of homeless people that have managed to maintain accommodation and housing through this just shows that this is the right approach to supporting people who are homeless, and something that we probably should have been doing in the city and as a country many years ago. So I think it's a really successful scheme, and I commend it to Cabinet. Just the extension of suspension of property pool, so we're able to continue to allocate housing to people who are homeless.
Thanks, Barry. Anybody else on that? No? Are the recommendations as set out in the report agreed? Thanks. Item B, which is adult social care fee and contract rates, which is on pages 14 to 21. And this recommendation seeks approval to undertake formal consultation with relevant adult social care and contracted specialist providers in respect of the proposed fees and contract rates for 2021-2022. The proposals reflect both the impending 2.2% increase in national living wage, as well as other non-pay inflation cost pressures. Subject to the outcome of the consultation and finalisation of any uplifts, delegated authority is to be granted to the Director of Adult Services and Health to implement the new rates. I'm not sure if Paul is present at the moment. Martin, is there anything you'd like to add to the report?
No, thanks, Mayor. I think you've outlined it. It is, as you've said, to go out to consultation with providers.
Thanks. Linny?
Could I just declare a non-pecuniary interest working for Local Solutions? Because obviously they'll be affected by this. I don't work in home care. Local Solutions is a provider, and they are my employer, just to be clear.
Thanks, Linny. And if Mike, if you could add that, please, to the declarations of interest. Are the recommendations as set out in the report agreed? Yeah, thanks. We have no reports for agenda items 5 and 6. Item number 7 is motions referred by select committee, and there's 2 motions referred to us. The first is a motion referred by Employment and Skills Select Committee, and it's supporting the Women's Enterprise Policy Group's framework of policy actions. And the motion calls on both myself and the Chief Exec to write to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, setting out the issues raised and calling for these to be reviewed with a view to incorporation into national government policy. Firstly, can I invite Gary, as one of the original movers of the motion, to comment on its content?
Yeah, I welcome the motion, but I thank the Women's Organisation and the Women's Enterprise Council for bringing it to our attention, and that is we have to ensure whatever services we provide, contracts we give, engagement we have, that we ensure that we have as many women in business from all kind of backgrounds involved. And I thank you and the Chief Executive for writing to the Chancellor about this, and particularly to ensure that there is sufficient support, not just financially, but also business support and guidance where required. But thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Any other comments? No? Can I move that the motion be endorsed and that a letter will be sent to the Chancellor of the Exchequer setting out the terms of the motion? Is that agreed? Thank you. The second motion is also referred by Employment and Skills Select Committee. It's in respect to the Union Learning Fund. And the motion calls on us to offer our public support for the continuation of this fund. The motion itself sets out information on the effectiveness and benefits of the Union Learning Fund over many years and how it continues to provide valuable learning support. Any comments from members? Barbara?
Thanks, Jay. Just 100% support for this. The work they've done is great, and I think as the whole council we would love to.
Thanks, Barbara. Can I move that the motion be endorsed and that a letter be sent to Liverpool and City Region MPs highlighting the terms of the motion? Is that agreed? Thank you. We have no reports for agenda item 8. Agenda item number 9, which is the mayoral announcements. I think most people would have seen yesterday the announcement over Brushwood and Milvina, and the fact that Bloom Care have now taken over those establishments, much to the relief of relatives and the residents living there and the communities surrounding those two establishments, because I know there was a lot of support in the local communities and beyond to ensure that they stayed for the purpose that they were built for. So just like to place on record my thanks to Paul and Martin and all the team for working so hard to get this over the line. I know it seemed like an eternity for the families, and I do thank them for their patience. I know how anxious a time it has been for them, and I hope now that they can relax knowing that sort of the stability of care will be there. And also I think for the staff as well, who've worked right throughout this pandemic really professionally, not sure perhaps what their future might lie, and the fact that Bloom Care have taken over and sort of there will be no change to their terms and conditions or pay is really important to go forward. Lynn, you want to come in on this item?
Can I just also echo that thanks to Paul, also to our speakers and ward councillors who have worked really, really hard with residents. Two of my best friends' dads, Joey and Billy, are both in Brushwood, and I know just how traumatising it's been. So can I thank Paul, Martin and the team, but the residents have been brilliant, and so have our local councillors in supporting them residents. When you live and speak, it's really good and something to celebrate. Thanks.
Thanks, Lenny. We've also seen a number of things this week taking place. Yesterday we had World Cancer Day, and we saw all our buildings light up for that, including St George's Hall, which looked magnificent. If anybody saw the images, as well as the buildings, sort of the Three Graces at the pier head. But I think it's a time for us all to reflect, not just those we have lost, to cancer, but also those who are battling every day, and those who are celebrating as well, who have gone into remission. Gary?
I think it's important to recognise also the sterling work by the cancer support agencies, charities across the city region and the north, who they do an amazing job. They change lives, they volunteer, many do it free of charge, but those charities are struggling. And just think about how we could help every single one of those, whether it be Cancer Research, Linda McCartney, the Roy Castle Lung Cancer Foundation, every single one of those, Marie Curie, Sunflowers, they need our help. And they're struggling massively this year because of COVID and lack of fundraising. So that whatever pennies we have, just think about cancer, particularly after yesterday and this week. I'm sure everybody would be hugely appreciated, but we'd help save lives by doing it. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. We're also coming near to the end of Children's Mental Health Week. And I think this last 12 months more than ever, children's mental health and emotional well-being has been at the fore of everybody's mind. It's bad enough for us as adults to be confined to the home, but for children and young people, not being around their friends, not being in school, a lot of them, it's been a particularly difficult year. We know, the strains of our young people, generally without COVID-19. And I know there's a lot of great work that's been going on this week to highlight those support services that are out there, or just saying to parents, just talk to your children, talk to them, from a very young age, get into the habit of talking from when they're really young, so that when they have got issues, it's a lot easier to talk to you. So I know Linny and Barbara and Liz, in the work that you do right across your portfolios in looking at those issues and in your work, I know it's been extremely important to you three and all the teams, Steve and the team in particular. And certainly, we should celebrate the successes that we've had, but also recognise, the struggles that a lot of children and young people have out there, and how difficult it is for them. Also, as well, we've got Race Equality Week, and I think this year again more than ever, around Black Lives Matter has made us all reevaluate, our approach, both within the workplace and in society in relation to how we treat others in our community, particularly those impacted by race. So I think there's been a number of amazing events again, and I think we've discussed here before, and we'll continue to have the discussions in the Race Equality Task Group about the positive action we can take, both as a council and work with our partners to promote better representation of Black people, both in the workplace and in society. So they're all the announcements that I have for today, unless anybody else has got anything they wish to add. No, so can I thank everyone for their attendance and for those watching online. Sorry, Barry, was that something?
I think it's just worth mentioning that there was a debate, an opposition debate on cladding this week, and it was raised in Prime Minister's questions as well. And I think, just as a cabinet, I think it's just worth us recognising 3.5 years on from Grenfell that the government still has not resolved the issues of cladding in our city. And over the last 2 or 3 weeks in particular, the increase in service charges that are being levied on our blocks, particularly those who are over 18 metres, is absolutely eye-watering. One was going to go up from £2,500 a year to £38,000 a year. Insurance costs are going up by 10 or 20 times in a year. It's absolutely eye-watering what's happening there. We have residents in the city in a place like Royal Quay who are living in the blocks that are below 18 metres high, who've got exactly the same unsafe external wall insulation that the blocks that are over 18 metres high have got, yet they are not eligible for funding. And I think and they are in blocks that might cost up to 10 to 15 million pounds to remediate. And these costs should not fall on leaseholders. The government are abandoning and leaving people to face financial ruin and stress and anxiety. And I think that together with the opposition members' debate and the questions that Prime Minister's questions this week, that we need to really urge the government and show support for leaseholders in what they're facing the most unbearable, life-changing situations through no fault of their own.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Barry, and I know because I've sent quite a number on to you. We have had a lot of correspondence into the mayoral mailbox in respect to this issue. People just in despair, of where they go to. And I know you have met with a number of groups and with the local MPs, to make sure that their voices are heard. But, although they are, as you said, not very much is happening. And I know you'll continue that work, as we will with the council, to support them and signpost them as best as we can, and to continue to raise those issues going forward. Gary?
As an additional item, Mayor, thank you. I would like to bring to the attention of businesses out there, businesses that pay or are registered for business rates with the Valuation Office. The council has done a brilliant job in paying out almost 4,000 businesses in the last 2 to 3 weeks alone. For those businesses that have closed, they've been forced to close by government. We have now paid out £30 million or thereabouts. But what I discovered yesterday is somebody rang me asking for guidance because they've not had any money, but they hadn't applied, and they hadn't applied previously. And what the council is doing is paying people, doing the due diligence checks, etc., but paying people who have applied before. But some who haven't applied a second time. And what I therefore ask is, if they go on to www.liverpool.gov.uk, look at the top line of the website, it's red, there's yellow writing about support during coronavirus. Click on that and look for help for businesses, and it will give you financial support information, but also about business guidance as well. It's really important, as many businesses as possible who pay business rates or are registered and who have been told to close, that they do apply if they have not applied already and haven't yet received any money. It's incredibly important. Sadly, there is a caveat there. It doesn't help the excluded, the forgotten, and those who are musicians and creators and supply chains, etc., that don't pay business rates. But this is the current lockdown 3 grants, and we want as many as possible to make an application as soon as possible. But thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Any more? No? Well, if I could wish everyone a restful weekend, if possible, and to remind people, keep washing them hands, keeping your face masks on, and keeping that distance when you're out for your daily exercise. And our numbers are coming down, and that's good, but we still need to remain vigilant. The pressure's still on our hospitals, and certainly until we get that vaccine rolled out to as many as possible, we need to keep to that guidance, because the more we do that, the quicker, the numbers will get back to a level where perhaps some of these restrictions can be lifted. So have a great weekend, everybody, and see you all soon.